The Roman Republic, one of the most influential political systems in world history, was born out of revolution and shaped by centuries of civic experimentation, military conquest, and class conflict. In 509 BCE, Romans overthrew their last king, Lucius Tarquinius Superbus, after a public outcry sparked by the rape and suicide of Lucretia, a moment that crystallized the population's dissatisfaction with monarchical tyranny. What followed was the creation of a republic, a system that rejected the permanence of kingship in favor of annually elected magistrates and a government balanced between aristocratic authority and popular participation. In this lecture, we will trace the origin, structure, and evolution of the Roman Republic. We will begin by examining the foundation of the Republic and the role of legendary figures such as Lucius Junius Brutus, who led the early movement for self-rule. We will then analyze the constitution of the Republic, an unwritten system built on precedent, incorporating monarchic, aristocratic, and democratic elements. Key institutions such as the Senate, the magistracies, and the citizens' assemblies played crucial roles in the operation of the Republic and evolved over time to reflect the shifting needs of Roman society. Next, we will explore the social struggles between patricians and plebeians, known as the conflict of the orders, and the reforms that gradually expanded political rights to Rome's lower classes. These tensions, while productive in creating a more inclusive government, also laid the groundwork for long-term instability. The lecture will further examine how Rome's expansion through warfare, particularly the Punic and Macedonian wars, transformed the Republic into a Mediterranean power, which also introduced new economic pressures and power dynamics at home. Finally, we will consider how the Republic, despite its institutional ingenuity, ultimately faltered under the weight of its own success. The rise of powerful generals like Marius, Sulla, Pompey, and Caesar, alongside increasing social unrest, led to civil wars and the erosion of republican ideals. By the time Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon in 49 BCE, the Republic's demise was already well underway. By the end of this lecture, you will understand how the Roman Republic was established, how it functioned, how it expanded, and how internal divisions and external pressures ultimately led to its fall, paving the way for the rise of the Roman Empire. The Roman monarchy was overthrown around 509 BCE during a political revolution that resulted in the expulsion of Lucius Tarquinius Superbus, the last king of Rome. Subsequently, the Roman Republic was established. Lucius Tarquinius Superbus was the son of Lucius Tarquinius Priscus, the fifth king of Rome's 7 kings period. Tarquinius was married to Tullia Minor, the daughter of Servius Tullius, the sixth king of Rome's 7 kings period. Around 535 BCE, Tarquinius and his wife, Tullia Minor, arranged for the murder of his father-in-law. Tarquinius became king following Servius Tullius's death. Tarquinius waged a number of successful campaigns against Rome's neighbors. He also secured Rome's position as head of the Latin cities, and in a series of public works, such as the completion of the temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximus. However, Tarquinius remained an unpopular king for a number of reasons. He refused to bury his predecessor and executed a number of leading senators whom he suspected remained loyal to Servius. Following these actions, he refused to replace the senators he executed and refused to consult the Senate in matters of government going forward, thus diminishing the size and influence of the Senate greatly. He also went on to judge capital criminal cases without the advice of his counselors, stoking fear among his political opponents that they would be unfairly targeted. During Tarquinius's war with the Rutuli, his son, Sextus Tarquinius, was sent on a military errand to Galatia, where he was received with great hospitality at the governor's mansion. The governor's wife, Lucretia, hosted Sextus while the governor was away at war. During the night, Sextus entered her bedroom and raped her. The next day, Lucretia traveled to her father, Spurius Lucretius, a distinguished prefect in Rome, and before witnesses informed him of what had happened. Because her father was a chief magistrate of Rome, her pleas for justice and vengeance could not be ignored. At the end of her pleas, she stabbed herself in the heart with a dagger, ultimately dying in her own father's arms. The scene struck those who had witnessed it with such horror that they collectively vowed to publicly defend their liberty against the outrages of such tyrants. Lucius Junius Brutus, a leading citizen and the grandson of Rome's fifth king, Tarquinius Priscus, publicly opened a debate on the form of government that Rome should have in place of the existing monarchy. A number of patricians attended the debate, in which Brutus proposed the banishment of the Tarquins from all territories of Rome, and the appointment of an interrex to nominate new magistrates and to oversee an election of ratification. It was decided that a republican form of government should temporarily replace the monarchy, with 2 consuls replacing the king and executing the will of a patrician senate. Spurius Lucretius was elected interrex, and he proposed Brutus and Lucius Tarquinius Collatinus as leading citizen, who was related to Tarquinius Priscus as the first 2 consuls. His choice was ratified by the Comitia Curiata, an organization of patrician families who primarily ratified decrees of the king. In order to rally the plebeians to their cause, all were summoned to a legal assembly in the Forum, and Lucretia's body was paraded through the streets. Brutus gave a speech, and a general election was held. The results were in favor of a republic. Brutus left Lucretius in command of the city as interrex and pursued the king in Ardea, where he had been positioned with his army on campaign. Tarquinius, however, who had heard of developments in Rome, fled the camp before Brutus arrived, and the army received Brutus favorably, expelling the king's sons from their encampment. Tarquinius was subsequently refused entry into Rome and lived as an exile with his family. Although there is no scholarly agreement as to whether or not it actually took place, Plutarch and Appian both claim that Brutus's first act as consul was to initiate an oath for the people, swearing never again to allow a king to rule Rome. What is known for certain is that he replenished the Senate to its original number of 300 senators, recruiting men from among the equestrian class. The new consuls also created a separate office called the Rex Sacrorum to carry out and oversee religious duties, a task that had previously fallen to the king. The 2 consuls continued to be elected annually by Roman citizens and advised by the Senate. Both consuls were elected for 1-year terms and could veto each other's actions. Initially, they were endowed with all the power of kings past, though over time these were broken down further by the addition of magistrates to the governmental system. The first magistrate added was the praetor, an office that assumed judicial authority from the consuls. After the praetor, the censor was established, who assumed the power to conduct the Roman census.